Hey everyone, it's Jim T. Graham and Jason Cole, and you've reached a very special RCGroups YouTube Hangout about Toledo 2019. The green mist of pollen is in the air. It's in my lungs, and it's crazy, Jason. I literally washed the truck, and then this morning I came back out. It wasn't even, it was morning, and there was green pollen all over my truck again.
Yeah, I saw some videos or like a photo from North Carolina.
Durham, yes.
It just looked like smog in China or something. It was crazy.
You know, in Nashville, the natives, the Cherokee, before the white man came and destroyed everything, they called this the Valley of Ill Winds, and they didn't live here. And one of the reasons was because the pollen was so bad, they all had allergies.
That's crazy.
Yep, the Cherokee Indians aren't going to live here. Of course, the white man was like, I think we'll just sit right here. Well, everyone, as you may or may not know, Jason Cole loaded up, and not the big black truck, but in the little silver Toyota.
The Toyota RAV4?
Yeah, the RAV4. And we rolled on down to Toledo, Ohio, where it was 67 degrees when we left town, and it was 37 degrees when we stepped out of the car in Toledo. It was a little bit shocking. It wasn't too bad. And immediately we went to parking garage, which, by the way, wasn't easy. We pulled up. By the way, this may be a candid look at Toledo 2019. Jason may have to reel me in a little bit here. The very first, I said, man, let's go in, make sure our name tags are there, because I hadn't.
And they were.
Well, I hadn't got an email from anyone saying you have name tags, and I was sort of afraid that it would be a kerfluffle. So we had thought, let's do that a day in advance, in case we have to work that out between that and the next day when the show officially opens. And the parking, we didn't get I don't want to go too negative here about all the negative stuff, but we didn't get a hotel room at the Toledo at the Park Inn, but we were going to park there real quick and go in. And then I was going to drag my camera up and make sure we had tags and get some of those killer photos of people setting up the booths. I enjoy those, right? Everybody likes that.
That's right.
But the guy at the thing said, you can't park here. We're like, what if we're hotel guests? He's like, no, you can't park here then either.
And, like, we've been coming to this place every year for the past 15 and 20 years. And if parked in that parking lot, said, can't do it this year.
He thought about it. And really, you can tell he was thinking, and he goes, I don't know. And so we parked illegally and ran in and stuck our heads in just long enough to feel like we might get towed. And then we jumped back out.
Yeah, I was worried.
And then we showed up the next day. So the good news, let's start out with the great news. The great news is many of our RC friends were there. And we have photos from the show to show you today. We have some stories. I picked up a really big story by accident, Friday night, I reckon. And I've got a story on that I can share. I think I broke the news on this since no one seemed to officially know about this. And we talked to people with new airplanes. There's a new bird that came out from Horizon that was on the ground. So we have all that to share today. But the bad news is, and I have to say it now because Jason was like, did you look down the aisles? And Jason, what did you see when you were the first one to notice this?
Well, I looked and I was like, is that it's full? It's huge. It's full. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's a wall of stadium seating. That's not the end of the building like it normally is. I was like, what's going on? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, like half of, like, if you've gone to Toledo, it's a trade show, and there's aisle A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to the back wall. And it looked like, and I'm not going to say it was halfway empty, but
I'd say it was 2/3 full.
Okay.
It was about 1/3 of the entire convention center that was unoccupied from booths. But I think they did something pretty cool with that space.
I will agree.
They installed a flying cage and a car driving area, and the flying cage was decent size. I mean, it was good for flying in, and they actually held the ETOC in that space. So I mean, it was kind of cool that it was all in the same space, right? Like before, when you had ETOC or flying events, it was always you had to get in a car and drive somewhere and find it.
It was a huge pain because you had to leave an hour early. And then it was always far away. And then you had to figure out, where am I going to eat? Because you would have to eat between there and the place. And so, yes, this was so much better.
Definitely. And it was cool to see. I mean, that you got to see live demos during the trade show, so it offered some more for spectators that they normally wouldn't get at the Toledo show. So that was cool.
Yep, and we have some live viewers. We have Enrique. I'm gonna apologize. I came home from Toledo with some sort of illness, and Jason can tell you I don't get sick. Knock on wood.
I'm still coughing, man. Yeah,
that's a jinxy thing to say. I rarely get sick. Sometimes I get really sick, but I came home from there with some illness. But you do shake many hands, and then now the pollen. Like I went outside and literally got pollen in my eyes.
Yeah, I bought some of those face masks things.
Oh yeah.
So I went and I had to mow my lawn yesterday, and so I put that face mask on, and it was keeping everything away from my nose, which is good. But there's still a ton of pollen in the air right now. Everything's blooming. It's springtime, baby.
I had the windows down on the truck this morning, and you just injected it in your head. So my thing is that when I am unable to talk, please just pardon me. So I think what we should do, Jason, I want to say hello to everyone in the live chat that's jumping on, is I want to share my screen so that while we talk, we can just look at what we're talking about.
That's right.
Right. So present to everyone.
News the backyard here. The wife went outside.
So this is the doorbell will keep ringing at you.
Yep.
So this is the initial photo flood from Jason.
It's the quintessential upstairs looking down on the show photo.
So this is we came in the back door, actually. I said, Jason, I think we should go in the back. I forgot about that. And Jason's like, are you sure? And all the doors were locked. And as we approached, some guy randomly just opened it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Is that some moonshine in your hands there?
Somebody said that I know how to handle a jug, and I do. We walked out of that back door straight into Rich's brew, and Rich is Wango Tango on Flying Giants. Been around the hobby forever, aware of the Profile Brotherhood, has always taken care of me for glow fuel for events. And so we stopped and talked to that's not Rich himself. It's Wango Tango, and then Rich owns it. And so for the photo, I did my traditional jug pose, which, and maybe not this year, but in years past, really has upset a lot of people.
I mean,
you can't drink nitro.
Anti-nitro people out there.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't like it.
Loosen up, y'all. I don't know if we'll go through every photo, but
I just don't like the taste. That's why I don't drink it.
So this is a great example of some of the booths. There are people there that you've never heard of before, and maybe they're local and they're just hobbyists and they have really interesting things. Is that the swap meet? Some of these got mixed in, I think.
That looks like that's trade show floor, man. That's got the backdrops.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're right. And so basically what happened this year is Jason went around, and my goal was to talk to every vendor on the floor as long as they wanted to talk. And that's the thing about a show like this. When Jason and I said, let's stick our head in here and just see what it looks like, we forgot that you can't do that, because if you walk in there, you're going to see 30 people that are pretty good friends of yours, and you're going to have to talk to them. I mean, that's what we're all there for. So I went around and talked to people, and Jason went around and took photos and sniffing out stories. And these are some of the photos that you can find on RCGroups, which is now featured on our magazine page. And then there's these guys. Like, what is that, Jason? What do these people do? Can-Am Pylon Society.
They wear hats. Caps.
So they're into Can-Am Pylon racing, which I have zero knowledge about.
I don't even know what that is. I don't know. Is that the Formula One stuff? I have no idea if they called it something different. But
is that where they wear we're RC industry experts here. Are the guys that wear the hard hats and then they hold on to the airplane and look?
No, that's that giant scale major stuff. Those planes, if it's those planes that are sitting on a table, that's somewhere like a quickie, similar class.
Right. I talked to this guy, and I emailed him yesterday.
Those are cool, man.
There's no little Pete in there though. I guess that's a Horizon proprietary.
Yeah, that's trademarked.
And then next to him was Manny. Oh, by the way, dag nabbit, I had this window open and I opened up. Whoop. Okay, that's a different deal there. That's all good, I guess. So I'm going to go to rcgroups.com. Then I'm going to click on the All RC button.
What is that?
Oh, you know what? That's the magazine, but that is not what I'm looking for. You know what? I'm going to come back to this.
Probably.
What I'm going to say is we have a contest with Manny. Jason, I wrote it and put it up. It's not live though, because I wanted Manny to like it. When it contests, you better get it right, or
it's going to be cool, folks. You're going to want to get involved. You don't have to own anything. You just need to be creative and have fun. So it's going to be fun. So
at the end of the hour, I'll jump back to my contest, which has not been uploaded, but has been finished. And you'll be the first to hear about it and know about it. And it'll give you the chance to put your thinking cap on and jump in there and get ready to join this contest for the drone ball back here. Drone ball. Let's talk about that now, Manny. I did the review, and Jason too, for the drone ball, and that I put that video in there, Jason. And nice. He said that a lot of schools and just people that you are not in the hobby are all about the drone ball because you can fly it into your head. Maybe I don't know.
Recommend it, but.
Jason flew one into my chest, and yeah, we're not saying you should, but it's sometimes okay. You can bounce them, and you could fly them into a FPV gate, and nothing would happen to the drone ball. So we'll talk about that contest in a minute, featuring the drone ball. That's a closer view right there. Manny's got a lot of great radios, big support of the site. We sure appreciate him. Here's a plans booth. I often wonder. Now, I'm sure there are many people into plans, Jason. I see it on the website all the time.
Lots of plans. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a whole community in RC groups and all over the world of people that still enjoy building kits.
Not as much as that lady's enjoying whatever she's eating there. I bet.
Boy, it must be tasty.
I'm sure that she would be mortified if she knew we're all looking at her photo right now.
That's what we call a candid.
Hanson Hobbies. Wendell. Oh,
more plans.
Yeah. And then, Jason, is this where you bought my wire strippers?
No, it was a proprietary standalone booth.
We were talking about, I have the wire strippers right behind me if we want to look at them. Jason, we were talking about how I was coveting Jason's wire stripping tool last week. And so he came over and he bought me a wire stripper here at the Toledo Trade Show 2019.
There's your driving area so that you can see that used to be booth space. But now those were like semi trucks. They were like drifting them around the track. I don't know. It was interesting.
Nice. Oh, we both went for the same. Now these are competition planes.
Yeah. So we had there's a pretty good mix of like kind of 3D acrobatic foamy stuff, and then the full on ultra light F3P.
Right.
I think it's F3P, but the super like incredibly slow air, like just crazy precision,
flying in liquid,
just amazing. Yeah, so fun to watch.
Dang, nabbit, I keep clicking off the dang picture. There we go. AC Glenn. There were many of the competitors. Yep. Yeah, although I never spoke to him. I did hang out quite a long time with AC. I'm trying to find a wife for him. So he and I strategized in the Toledo bar for an extended period of time. He sent a lot of flowers out that night.
Our RC pilots are in hot demand right now, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
AC's cool, dude. And then there's your stands. That's impressive, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool.
And when I first walked up, somebody who I guess I know from RC said this reminds me of the very first E-Talk. It's the same size as the gym. Which were you there, Jason?
Yeah, it was tiny, man.
Well, but I said, yeah, but the roof is about 80 times taller because that gym had a super low roof on it. It wasn't.
Yeah, I was sort of invited to fly in it, one of the first ones, and I was like, I got there and I was like, I'm so glad I'm not trying to fly in this. The planes just were a different caliber back then. They needed more space.
I was working with Chip Hyde on that design. Mike Glass and I were working on a thing, and Chip Hyde and I were working on a design. And so I met Chip there, and I had the planes. We had like 3 planes for him and everything, and he wanted to go test fly them. So we test flew it in the garage of Toledo. Can you imagine?
Crazy.
Yeah, I just want you to picture that.
Yeah, I'm there.
So that was a mighty long time ago. Here's Hobby King. They were there. We talked with Ian and Thomas. They're based out of the New York offices. And I had a good long talk with Ian, and that was good. His name's not Ian. Sorry, Rob. Sorry, Rob. Rob, and he looks as Italian as his last name is. Chia Skaya. Okay. I'm starting to. Anyway. Damn.
Blame it on the allergies.
Holy smokes. Anyway, Rob comes to Nashville, and one of his mom lives here, I think.
We'll see him next month. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll come down on occasion. We've seen him one time, I think. He'll come down and fly with the local club. And so he's coming back down before Joe Nall. And so we're planning on hanging out. I do. Okay. Anyway, some more Hobby King.
I kind of dig. I don't know if those are. Go back to that picture. I like those plane stands.
Yeah. So
I like the one I have for like the full on stuff, but that's kind of like cool for display, at your house if you don't have a place to store your models. Pretty neat.
Steve Burns is in the live chat. I did it again. Maybe it's some kind of arrow problem.
Did it again. Anytime you click anywhere not on one of those arrows, it
and maybe the arrow moves with the image.
Moves the image viewer.
There's R8 cores, a staple of the RC community.
They are Hobby King stands. Cool, Nick. RA, he's the man. Let's build something.
So I did an article on this company right before we left for the show. And that's Mark Lanterman and Old School Model Works. And so we went around and talked to him for a while. I need to email him, actually. Good thing that we saw him. What's that, Jason?
I didn't hear much about that. I didn't really talk to him. They weren't. This was like early morning before everything was up and running. But those look cool, man. Don't you think?
Yeah. What booth is that?
It's like I don't even know. It was like super like fluorescent orange and yellow, but just like totally not scale jets, but really cool looking jets.
Well, this is the thing right now. If you ask me, it's Warbirds and it's jets like that.
Yeah. You know what's sad about that? I don't really like Warbirds.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well,
okay, let's just take that back. I like them, just not as much as other things in the hobby. So I'm just not a Warbird guy.
Yeah.
Cool. I love seeing them in person, real ones.
You know what? I never cared about a Warbird in my life until I started playing War Thunder, and which I've talked about 3 times in the last week, but I care now. So you want to answer that, Jason?
Yeah. So Daniel, the bleachers and flight area, I'm estimating it was about 1/3 of the convention center. So they had 2/3 full of vendor booths, and then 1/3 of it was the bleachers and the flying area, and the AMA had their booth.
They had their trailer in there for flight
simulator trailer, right? Yeah. They had that
heavily
in there.
used.
Yeah. Brian's mad at me for not being a Warbird guy.
Haha.
Hey, diversity. We need it. I don't know.
Oh, wait. I didn't talk about this picture. Lucian Miller was there. I spoke with Lucian.
Innovative. Yep.
And he's actually on my list. I was going down all the notes I sent to myself from the show. So, Lucian, you're on my list. And I don't know. Oh, more tools. I think I own every screwdriver like that over here. B&R Specialties. So this was just a group of guys. It looks like we're old buddies, but really they had no idea that we were about to take a photo. And
turn around, look at me. Click.
Jason just got it. Nice. Yeah, so we didn't go over this part, Daniel. Daniel's in the live chat and asked, not nearly the vendors then. Jason, I think
I heard they were down 50 from last year.
But you know what number I didn't get is I think we both need to know how many vendors actually did attend. I wonder if we can get that.
Spectators. There was actually, we did hear from spectators. Like I heard a few like, disappointed that there's not as many vendors here, but I also heard, man, we're getting some really fantastic deals.
And I also heard they were making I was talking to Zip and Robarts, and they were selling. That guy Vassar couldn't talk to me because he was so busy selling stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And there we are. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They had some very interesting stuff. He was showing me how they were dyeing their 5-minute epoxy so that you could take your firewall and make it any color you want.
Ooh, cool.
Stuff like that. Also, big thanks.
Fuel proof it. There's people that actually still fly models with liquid gas.
Oh, no, it's on the comeback, man.
Oh, yeah.
Gas-powered and glow is becoming a thing, I've found. Big thanks to Zap. They are going to be sponsors of NashPro this year. So I'm going to have to get on the ball, and I've already announced it to my guys, but I need to get a little more information and get that out to them. And I want some banners on my flight line. But
that guy was wanting to drop things from the airplane like you did last year.
Oh, we could. Yeah, that is a killer idea.
This is even better though. Just give everybody like cups, and then have them drop the CA in liquid form, and then they have to catch it in their cup, and then they can bottle it.
You know what? That's what we're gonna do. No, we're not gonna do that. But we're gonna. Work. I'm gonna talk to Zap about dropping CA out of that plane. That might be interesting.
Yeah, man, that'd be cool. I like it. I like
it. By the way, I'll say straight up, it could be bad for my career. I've tried every CA. I have them all in the back, and Zap is really the only CA that's still back there because it's the CA that lasts.
Yeah, it's good CA.
Except I kept calling it Zip at Toledo.
Zip CA.
It
Zappity-doo-dah.
And more. And this is kind of what you see there. I've been going this show for at least 15 years since some
of these booths are materials, like the construction of the booths are that old too.
Right. So like Sullivan's been there every year. I've been there. The people will come and go.
Buying booth stuff is not cheap.
I'm curious. I didn't talk to Urcha. They have been really going through the head honchos every year. It seems like a different group. So I'm not sure where they're at these days.
Yeah.
There's a stand, Jason. Did you go look at that?
Stand. Yeah, I like the miniature ones he's got on display behind it.
I guess that's obvious since you took a picture of it. Nice. Retro. Do you see that jacket for that old transfer?
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't go back that far, so I don't have the thing.
Yeah.
Futaba. So I got to spend some time with Nick Maxwell, and we discussed Futaba. Also spent some time with him at the vendors ball, which was a good time. And they made their announcement, and they came out to everyone that, hey, here's what we're doing. And so I said, now that you've got everything established, he's like, man, we're just moving forward and doing more stuff. I might do an interview with him. Then we went over to the Extreme Flight booth, and these are old buddies of mine. I go way back beyond my Hobby Lobby days even. And so it was great to see them. Brian asks, between 1 and 10, where do we put the Toledo show?
As compared to what?
Well, compared to, let's say, 4 years ago.
Oh, put the Toledo show this year. I don't know. I mean, it was definitely down in vendors. Booths, like from Horizon was smaller. You didn't even have a Hobbyco booth because they're all conglomerated now.
Everyone's booth was kind of much smaller. Also, I heard from vendors that they weren't coming back.
Yeah, and there's not as much news out of the show. We got a few things. Horizon had a new plane. Buddy RC had some new chargers. There was some news out of the show, but not as like just years past. You'd have so much news coming out of the show. People would wait and hold releases just for Toledo. And with the internet and everybody jumping on board finally, with how that works, it's just easier to do your releases in social media and RCGroups and online and not have to, hold everything back and wait and spend all this money to go to a trade show.
A trade show is an antiquated way to do press. And
it does seem to be like, in all industries, video games, tech, every industry, like trade shows are on a decline. And, it's just the way the world is moving forward.
And that's what I catch myself doing, asking, is the hobby, is this showing a constriction of the hobby, or is it really just the internet catching up with the realities of our industry and how to best serve, because really a vendor has to ask, how much time does it take out of getting ready, gas money to go down, hotel, staff, and the time off and all, is it worth it? And maybe not anymore.
Yeah. Now I will say this. Upstairs absolutely blew my mind. I usually go up there and take a peek, but this year, I don't know, maybe it's because I was taking pictures and normally I'm not the one taking pictures. There was so much up in the swap meet area. I could not believe it. It was room after room and hall after hall. The entire thing was just absolutely filled with stuff. And I just kept hearing guys like, I'm not taking it home. You know, I mean, deals were to be had like you would not believe. It was well worth it if you were there for the swap meet alone was probably worth the price of admission. So that was awesome.
And speaking, let's see if I can make this happen. Speaking of Extreme Flight, you know, I went to AJ's booth and I sat and talked to them, and they didn't say a word about their new release. I feel a little embarrassed now. I didn't get anything out of them, but the Legacy Aviation 54 Muscle Bike was released, and there's a photo of it. And this was I was just messing around. This was a photo bomb I did with Tim. There's actually another guy in this photo, but I didn't think he'd appreciate me. Photo. He probably was upset about it, but I accidentally photobombed next to the new bike, which, based on the response, everyone's going crazy over. I was excited we had so many pictures of it. And so this is on Flying Giants, and everyone's like, must have, must have, must have. So that's good, and got to hang out. Pretty good time. We went out to dinner with the AMA. Jason and I did, and that was great. Went to a place under the bank that was haunted, obviously, to me anyway. I
had no idea that was down there.
Yeah, when I went to, it was a restaurant under the bank, PNC, PNI Bank, and when I went to the bathroom, it was like The Shining down there. But the food was awesome. I had some sort of, I don't even know what I ate, but it was a salad, and then on top of it was shaved beef, and holy smokes, I picked the right thing.
And we did pin the deal, so all RC Groups members get free AMA membership for life.
As long as you pay $75 a year.
Exactly.
There's shirts. Once again, some old stuff and boats. Oh, I love a Chris Craft. Jason, if I was like lottery winning,
pretty, man, they're pretty.
I would I'd buy a real version of that.
My kind's brother has a boat like that.
Sure,
like a real one.
Red Wing RC is back, and I went and talked to at the vendor meeting, at the vendor soiree, the new folks in charge, and they were like, "Hey, we need to get the word out and get it out there." So, you know what? I should add that to my list. I really should add it to it now, but that will put a pause in the action. So boy, I really should. Jason, can you talk for a minute?
Keep scrolling through photos.
Okay. That ain't going to work. I'll go through the photos and remind myself in the future.
Say, hey, Siri, remind me to whatever. See, my Siri's doing it. Stop. Cancel, Siri. Okay.
Whatever to your reminders.
Great.
Steven's Aero model was there. That's his son. I've known him forever, and I always make it a point to go see him. And I was asking him about how everything was going. He said that his sales just remain constant, and the only thing he has trouble with is sometimes you got to source new suppliers to build these things. But he said
that's tricky.
And
all them daggone windmills taking all the balsa.
And it was great to see his son. I remember when there was no son. That's how old we are. So AC Glenn, I think he said he's 29 or 28. And I've known him since he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And then, and I'll say it right here on the podcast, I'm not embarrassed. I was referred to as a good-looking older man. Something to that effect. Whatever it was, I was offended. But only for a second, because, I mean, if I've known AC Glenn since he was a young man, I guess time has passed.
It wasn't interesting. I walked up to those guys at the flight area, and it was a group of young, hotshot RC pilots. And I walk up, and then we're talking, and I'm just thinking to myself, that used to be me.
Yeah, and now I'm Frank
Noel, the old guy in this conversation.
I told Frank Noel, I said, "Man, I feel like you now, just a little less grumpy." Which might not be a good thing to say to Frank Noel, but I did. I said it.
He nodded in agreement.
Well, Frank and I have been around each other a long time, and I think we understand each other. He gets me, I get Frank. Karen Schaefer, is that Karen behind the airplane?
It is. She's hiding.
We had got to hang out with Karen, who also took photos of the ETOC with us. And I later in the bar, I was talking to Karen, and they were talking about why they take photos and how it's because of all the event coverage we've done over the years, and it inspired them to go do it. And I've never occurred to me that maybe us doing event coverage would inspire others to do it. But she said that's where it came from. Buddy RC, good friends of ours. We went over and hung out with them. And Jason was all into every time you go there, Jason, there's that jacket. You're about the Buddy RC Chargers.
Yeah, they always have the cool new Chargers, you know.
Did you bring one home?
I did not.
Matt Gunn would have. I thought if Matt Gunn was there, he'd have cash on the table, man. And so we have Buddy, and the next to him is
Doug. What's up, Doug?
He might be in a live chat. Was Sunny Sky, I think. Wait, what's this? Tell me about this.
I don't know what that is.
You took a picture of it.
It's Autodesk Fusion 360. It's like doing some CAD stuff, CNC, 3D printing.
I'm still looking at real laser.
On top of the world. So this is where I want to retire when I get old, Jim. Really old.
Think of the politics at that place.
The perfect home for your hobby.
Take the politics at the airfield. Now turn it into an older senior living community.
Yeah. Well, by the time I get there, all those guys will be gone.
Right. True. It'd just be you and me and Frank Knoll.
It is kind of a cool idea, though, right? Like a community of RC pilots, and you got your field, and you build your houses around it, and you walk out, and you can go fly. And I think it's a cool idea.
Sure. And the fact it's been around as long as it has, I guess it's real. You know, it's
and the beauty of it, it comes first circle because it's in Ocala, Florida, which was where I was born. So should be born there, and I'll probably die there.
Jason, I think you missed this, but I walked up to BitGo, and they were just in from, actually, they live here in the States, but they were like, Jim Graham. And so they had the picture taken with me. And I was like, BitGo. Also, I met Banana Pete. I'm not with you in these photos, so it's not in the order that it is in my mind, but right across the way from BitGo was Banana Pete. And I've known Banana Pete forever. And so we got to talk. And then our newest radio forum sponsor, Jetty, was there.
Dude, that 12, I was looking forward to coming to the show and picking it up and holding it in my hands. It's half the weight of my DS14. And it's one of the reasons why I went to the Tyrannus radio for my DLGs is because my big 14 was just so heavy and my hands were getting sweaty and I was about to throw it. I wanted something lighter. I could throw the heck out of a plane with that 12 because it's just so light. You get a good grip on it, and it actually does some things better than the 14. It's just got newer technology, into it, better processors and ways to handle things. So I'm like, man, I'm like seriously considering like trading in my DS14 and seeing what that would cost me to get this thing.
Well, you heard me promoting you, and they agreed. You certainly, I mean, everywhere we go, Jason has his jetties, and people are always asking him about them. Pretty sure that's why Richard.
It's a cool thing with my Jetty today, actually. I can talk about it if we have time at the end of this.
Okay. So this is the great part. That's my BitGo guys, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are those guys.
The great part about this show is you get to not only meet your old friends, but you get to meet people that you haven't actually physically met before.
Yep. See the faces.
Scorpion. Bossy USA, Mean Joe was back there in his new look. Mean Joe's lost 30 pounds, y'all. I didn't ask him how he did it. I should have.
He was running around with his camera and doing video and, having a good time. Doing the Mean Joe thing.
Hey, was the baby back there? I didn't see the baby at the baby. The Bossy USA baby.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't think I see it either.
Oh, it happened.
I don't remember seeing it.
Oh, now we're really behind. Falcon, I went and talked to Julie, who I was like, I was going to go hug her. And then I thought, I don't know anymore. Is that appropriate? And she got up out from behind that booth and came and gave me a big hug.
Nice.
And we talked, and I told him that we'd see him at Joe Knoll.
All the propellers you could ever need.
Usually at Joe Knoll at 5, I wind up at the Falcon booth because there's always a collection of people of a much higher intellectual caliber than myself. And I get there a little early so to already have been there before the high-ranking Joe Knoll members start showing up. That way that I don't show up later to the party, right?
Yeah.
I'm already of the party. And then when they come, no one says, why is this dual-braided hillbilly here? Or more of a cowboy. Anyway, it's an inside secret. Don't tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that made sense. More Jetty somehow got mixed in there.
Yeah, I guess they're getting out of order a little bit.
Dave Brown was there, still wheeling and dealing. I once played a mandolin and another friend played a banjo in his booth one year.
Cool.
Motors. Buy any sailplanes? You did not.
Well, that was those weren't. I mean, they say they're for sale, but there wasn't. That was like really the only sailplane kind of related stuff. Like Kennedy wasn't there. Soaring USA. None of the big sailplane guys were really there, so I was a little bummed about it, not seeing some cool new stuff. But
lots of doorbells.
It's on your end.
And AMA. So I got to visit with Randy Cameron, the VP, and Gary, who are good friends and pro bros, and they hang out with me every year for a week in the field, so we're pretty good friends. And dang it, we already switched gears here. Miss Jessie was there, and the whole AMA crew. And once again, they had their big trailer. I bet we see pictures of it with the simulators. Everybody was in there. I personally did not see AJ. I saw I can't. This is moderately funny. We were in the bar and I told AC that I just had an idea, and that was that what if everyone in a booth at Toledo, what if there was a gang fight on the trade show floor? And then my question was, who would win the Toledo trade show gang fight? And, it would be fighting to the last man. I believe AJ Aircraft would win because they had so many people wearing AJ shirts.
Yeah,
there must have been.
Booth, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't. There were more people than the booth. There were like 15 people wearing those AJ shirts. And AJ's brother, I don't think I'd want to challenge him to any duels, any fisticuffs. Ready Made RC was there. Balsa.
All the balsa you could eat. It's a buffet of balsa.
Oh, no. We kind of dreaded spit. There we go. Random window or random airplane. More zap or zip, as we like to call it. There, and yeah, I'm over here.
Way out of order, yeah.
Having an in-depth conversation with ZB. And it looks like we're circling back around. Going fast. Well, let's jump out of here and go to a couple of stories. But you can be aware that I spoke to everyone at the show, and we were hanging out and talking. Oh, here's a good thing to look at. This is the static airplanes that were sent in. I'm being distracted because there's someone behind me talking.
Oh boy, I might have missed a few maybe because I think there was some late comers to putting their planes down. So we might not have like literally everything here, but I think we got the majority of it.
Lots of sailplanes.
Yeah, a good little sailplane section.
And they were in pretty early. Usually it can take all the way to the end of Saturday to get these tables filled up, but it looked to me like they came in earlier than usual. So all of this can be seen on rcgroups.com. I'm not going to go through all of these. This is the new Horizon Era Cobra.
The Rock Cobra.
The what?
I was just saying it weird.
Oh, I thought, Deb, I've been saying it wrong. I love
it. Looks cool, man. I got to tell you, in person, it was pretty spiffy. If you like warbirds and things.
Well, come on. That's an aggressive airplane, right there.
Yeah. Nice long nose.
You got a link to the page. There it is. Horizon Hobby. Miss Kim wasn't there.
Nope.
They had another show they had to go to.
Those guys should be shipping out. What does it say? Late April should be, just a few weeks away, 2-3 weeks.
279. Man, that's pretty hot.
Picture. That's a great picture.
It is. I don't like the Pat, but I like everything else.
Pat. It's Pat. Is that like an SNL thing?
There's nothing meaner than the name Pat. No, not true at all.
There's probably decal sets I think you can choose your own.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
So these are the Chargers we were talking about.
Yeah, the X6 and the X8. Pretty much in my mind, in my world, there's two primary awesome charging makers. It's iCharger and ISDT. ISDT, yeah. And so I've got probably two at least iChargers, the 406 and the 4010. And then I've got several ISDT chargers. I got plenty, so I didn't need any. But I was like, ooh, these are hot. You know, nice and compact, high wattage, like high output. You know, portable, easy to use charger. So cool
And
stuff.
I've already moved on to the high tech
You
booth.
sure have.
I sat and talked to Mike Mayberry for a long time, and in fact, we talked to everybody in that booth.
New planes, yeah. The Funny Cub. You've heard of the Fun Cub. Now there's the Funny Cub.
Kind of like a funny car, I think.
Yeah, it harkens back to the old shock flyer days, but it's EPP and you know a lot of carbon in there for stiffening. But they said it was a blast. I got to see. I didn't get to see it. I heard about it flying in the cage, and somebody from one of the guys from Extreme Flight was flying it, and they were like, "That's awesome."
Yeah,
same thing with the Challenger.
I
think somebody actually swapped and was thinking about flying that Challenger in the ETOC instead of their primary plane they brought because they liked it so much. So that says a lot.
So, an industry staple. And this was my big news from the show. So, I didn't see Frank all day. And then when I went to the vendors event, I said, man, what's going on? And he said, I'm back.
I'm back.
I said, what do you mean? And he told me about that he was heading up JR. And he basically was taking JR back into America. You know, there was a whole kerfluffle. And there was a doom and gloom that JR was going away and never coming back. And I'm watching what I'm saying here. I'm filtering myself. I'm not saying what I want to say. Anyway, I'm not going to go there, but I'm going to say that the JR of history went away. And there was a huge question what was going to happen. Then I saw D-Force, and I actually emailed the owner of D-Force about a year ago, it seems like, and I said, listen, I want to support you any way you can. Anything you have to say about JR, you let me know. And so he did. We did an article. But then when I heard that they had hired Frank to wear that JR shirt, you know, Frank used to be the team captain for Futaba. I was like, of course Frank's going to run JR. I mean, it's a great idea. So what we have here is my interview with Frank. I asked him, you know, I don't know if I'm the best guy to interview someone about a radio company, but I asked him questions that I thought were important. And then the great part is our users. Wait a minute. There's more. What's going on here? This is RCGroups. Yeah, on Flying Giants, there's many pages of questions for Frank. So I'm surprised that it's had so little response in RCGroups, because this is a big deal, y'all. This is a major radio company staying in the game and hiring industry icon. I can say this now because Hobbico is defunct. I mean, they're now owned by Horizon, but the whole original leadership of Hobbico is basically gone. But they brought me in a meeting, and but this is when Hobbico was still Hobbico. And I said, look, I'm sure there's a lot of things you're going to do, but the one thing you cannot do is let go of Frank Knoll. He's an icon in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it.
Well, my hope is that Frank can turn it around. And I mean, I know people love JR. The brand, you know, had a great reputation, but those radios that look like Transformers heads, I mean, I didn't like them. So I'm hoping they start implementing some of the newer technology and faster processors and more, you know, kind of more Tyrannus and Jetty and Kropner style programming, and you know, get the ergonomics down, the quality parts and all that stuff, and just make it look cool again, and get away from that Transformers look. But that's my personal opinion.
I did read that the next thing they do will not be an upgrade, but a whole new radio.
Yeah, perfect.
I bet your city in Spain, a live watcher says there's a city in Spain called Toledo, but I bet it's very much different than Toledo.
Yeah, it better be.
Here's my scratchy throat. Hey everyone, it's my allergies and cold back.
All right. Did you do something with the video? It's stuck on me.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. Jason, I'll share this with you. This happened yesterday.
Okay.
Right there.
Well, why don't you share it with everybody else?
It says I am.
There we go.
You see it?
There you go.
I put a new bench seat in the truck.
Oh, it's in.
I like it.
You're done? You're done.
Well, it took me a few days. I soundproofed. I realized the guy only soundproofed right under our feet.
A lot better than I thought.
It's awesome, man. It makes the whole cab feel bigger. And somehow I now fit in the truck. You know, before I was always complaining about my feet.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had more or less legroom now.
I have a lot more.
That's awesome.
The only thing it doesn't have, wait, do I have these?
You should make a office chair out of the old seats that were in it.
Well, Truman is already asking for those things.
Yes.
But I'm going to sell them. The only thing this doesn't have is lumbar support. So if we do a trip in this thing, I'm going to have to get a little pillow.
Yeah. That's great, man. That looks awesome.
Then there's one more thing, but I don't want to go free screening it. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to show you a blast from the past. I got an email. I don't want to free screen like I used to in my 20s. I'm going to see if oh, by the way, I did contact the former owner and creator of Hobby Lobby, Jim Martin.
Jim Martin, how's he doing?
The man who brought me in the industry. And I don't know what that means, Daniel.
Did you get the seats custom made or?
Yeah, those are custom. It took 3 months to get that damn seat.
Yeah.
And I did not think it'd take that long. But I think they sit lower or something. I don't get it. I don't know how they did it. But I do know the guy that designed that seat is 6'7" because I asked. I said, look, I'm tall. And the guy said the guy that designs this is 6'7". And there is not another inch of real estate you could squeeze out of the cab that seat didn't get out of. But Jim Martin was both of our bosses at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to need some vodka. Oh, my gosh. It's Jason's flying sailplanes and Jim Martin's. This is not vodka. This is one. Jim Martin was always into sailplanes. And I said, man, Jim would love this. So I wrote him, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
He said, the next time y'all go out, please call me. I would love to see these planes.
Cool.
Now I'm going to look for an email from, I don't know if I can find it. I bet I can't. Okay. I give up. Jason, I want you to talk about the thing you did.
All right. So, yeah, I was looking at ways. One thing I think the radios need to do is be able to have more functional timers. Because, like, even with the Jetty and the Taranis, you can kind of do some more stuff and play with it. And you can use the Lua scripts even on Jetty now and Taranis. Those are the only 2 radio brands that have Lua currently. But I was like, okay, I really want to do some timers that are more functional than what I got that allow me to practice. And so I actually went and recorded an audio recording, put it on my radio, and then I found another recording that is useful for full-on practicing for F5J. So, and I also did some more stuff with text-to-speech. So now when I turn on my radio for the Neutrino.
Neutrino F5J.
So it's not a Jetty anymore. It's a Jedi radio. So that's why it does the lightsaber startup sounds. So I got the Neutrino F5J. And then when I want to do landing tests, and I usually just do like a 2-minute timer. But I like it to be, a countdown at specific times instead of just every 30 seconds or whatever. I want every 15 from, 2 minutes to 1 minute, and then every 5 from 1 minute to 30, and then every second from 30 to 0. That helps me kind of sort out my landing pattern. This is how a timer would call for me at a competition. And so I wanted that, but and there's apps for your phone and things. And, I didn't want to have my phone on and like with earbuds in to be able to hear it or something. I wanted it to be done on my radio. So I went and made a recording. So now when I hit a button,
2 minutes.
So it'll stop basically there because it'll take 30 seconds to get to the next one. But it's my own voice now giving me my time. And I actually measured it against a stopwatch. And it is perfectly in sync in time. So it's like
1:45.
The audio player isn't slowing down or speeding up the thing from real time. So it's pretty good. And then I have another one where I can turn this on.
10-minute task begins in 1 minute.
So I'll turn that off now. But what I do is I have basically a mock F5J program in here. So when I click that button, it gives me 1 minute before launch. And it allows me to look around, read the air, just like I would in the competition. And then it'll count me down to the launch window. And then I, launch on the buzzer. And then it'll count up from there to 30 seconds, which is the motor run window. So I'll know like when even though it's going to happen on board, the the Altus Nano shuts off the motor automatically after 30 seconds if I don't already manually do it prior to that. But I get that countdown, and then it counts down properly how I like it, all the way from 10 minutes, which is a full round of F5J, and it does all the proper counts for the final sequence of my landing pattern. So I'm super pumped about that. It was super easy. And Steve's just saying, just edit the timer files on Jetty. I started looking at that and just really didn't get that far into it. And I just made recordings in the audio, the WAV format, and that was just easier for me to do. But I love that there's multiple ways to do it. And then one thing I definitely want to start at some point, maybe not like very soon, but I want to look at the Lua scripting and how to write those and start playing with basic apps. And you can add images and different things. And that's one thing where the Jetty DS12 will be better, because it allows you to have more memory for Lua versus the 14 that I have. So that's cool stuff. It's just kind of geeky, neat things that we can do, but it's going to make my life a lot easier to practice when I'm out by myself and don't have to mess with doing a phone app or something and just having crazy things. It just all on the radio, simple, easy, works perfectly. So super excited about that. Fun stuff.
The thing I can't find that I was looking for is Colton Clark sent me a link, and it was a for sale ad for a hot rod foamy that I used to sell from Nikita's Aircraft. Remember that?
Yeah. What was it?
The hot rod.
The hot rod, yeah.
There was the little one and the big one, and man, it was like the best foamy out there, and people competed with it at the ETOC.
Yeah, they did. I love mine.
Yeah, we won the ETOC one year with it, which I remember being so stoked. Yeah. ETOC was such a big deal back then.
Yeah, know? And the Animal, when the VPP system came out with Axie. Yep.
And then that's the year we won. We won it with the EVP. But every year, you know, we built and we trained, or I didn't train, but we got the products ready, and then you trained, and you go out there, and it was a big deal, man. And it, you know, maybe that's what we're missing in the hobby is something like that being a bigger deal.
Yeah. It didn't feel like past as far as, I don't know if there's, I mean, I guess there was some prize money. I saw some checks in the photos, but you know, I don't know if it's as, maybe they'll just keep working on it and build it from there.
So I got pulled aside at the show to talk about this. And so I'm just commenting on the future, how we can do it. I was made aware this was happening. And I said, look, whatever I can do, keep me in the loop, give me stories. Let's promote this. And then I look up, and Toledo's a week away. Right. Mm-hmm. I never got anything. I didn't even get dates or times, or I didn't even know that it was in the building.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if people aren't giving me stories, usually it's because they don't know to, or how to, or why to. But if you really want to get the people that are going to be at that show aware of it, then you've got to get it out on our site and all our sites and everywhere.
Yep, I agree. Utilize what you got to market.
I did sell my pits, and so I put that money aside to get into my Timber X. So I actually have that, my little RC kitty. And I didn't feel guilty. Usually, Jason, I'd feel bad about selling a review plane like that, but I was selling it to get another Horizon plane. So that's moving one to facilitate another. I don't feel bad about that.
Very cool.
Yep. I don't know, man. This pollen's killing me.
It's at least we're not in the snow.
Right. I was going to say, I was complaining about it being cold. Now I'm complaining about the snow.
It's too dang hot in here.
Yeah.
These kids are flying airplanes, and they're covering all their props, and they're going to ruin the hobby.
All right. So we'll end the show with a stupid story. I did this today, Jason. There's a slew of stupid stories, I'm sure, that have happened since last week. But today's stupid story is I woke up early and got on the lawnmower because I thought I'm going to mow while it's, before work and before it's hot, before everything. Sometimes my yard can be dusty. It's a drag. Anyway, I'm mowing. The whole front yard, I'm looking at it. It's all done. It's good. And I knew I wanted to get the edge next to the driveway. And I knew there was a paper, which I don't subscribe to.
Oh, no.
You know?
I can imagine what's about to happen.
And so I said, there's the paper. I'm not going to hit it. And then I come around the edge to edge the side before I finish. and it's like it got magnetically drawn into the mower. As the next thing I know, it's flying out the other side in like confetti shards.
Oh, no.
And then it's drifting over into my neighbor's yard, who's a good friend of mine.
See, I use a bag. So you collect all the clippings and put them where you want them.
Well, I wrote a letter. Locally here in town, we have a thing called, what's that called? Have you read the thing where people complain about everything?
No, I don't know what that is.
What's it called? Anyway, there's a section in the local paper where people complain anonymously, and it's hilarious because everyone is out of their minds in this thing.
Okay.
I was so mad I was going to call them, but I couldn't find a phone number. But I did find, I went to their website, and instead of a phone number, it like right here, it said submit your issue with Nashville.
Print it.
You got it. So basically, the gist was, no one uses this outdated printed format of news gathering, and anyone that does is too damn old to walk across the yard and pick it up. I said, if any other company threw trash in my driveway once a day for a year straight, I'd have them arrested and fined. And I said,
and they printed it, I bet.
And I said, meanwhile, when I go out of town, your handy dandy way of letting thieves know that I'm away from home should, you should be liable if I ever get broken into. And then I said, and P.S., I don't want to see the word family jewels in the newspaper anymore. That was just the extra.
It's all about the extra.
So then I told my wife this, and she shakes her head at me. She goes, did you shake your fist at the sky and complain about a cloud while you're at it?
Yes, you did.
It just really makes me mad. Also, I did put this in. It makes me feel guilty about all the trees they've cut down for papers that I literally just immediately throw it away.
It's good for like fire kindling, though.
Man, it makes me mad.
Light the fire with it. You can save that stuff, man.
If I ever see them come by the house again, I'm gonna throw it back at that car.
You ever get you want to do some paper mache? Yeah, it's great for that.
Or mowing, you can mow it right up. Well, everyone, it's been Jim and Jason. We did go back out to the field this week. It was beautiful, and that was this week, yeah. And we flew Jason's sailplane, and I hung out with some guys, and we shot the breeze. It was a good time. So we actually flew.
It was windy. Yeah. Good windy day.
Yeah, it was windy, but man, the temperature was perfect. The temperature was perfect this morning. I think it's going to rain this weekend.
Yeah, I was like, when's the next good day? Because I really need to go do some more video with the RC Cloud paraglider. But I want it to be really calm just so I can show what it's really capable of. And It looks like, I don't know when we're going to get calm winds. It's going to be a while.
Well, I'm going to try to get my air conditioner charged on the truck, and then I'll be pretty close. So
cool, man.
It's my weekend job.
Fun stuff.
Already mowed.
Congrats on the bench.
Thank you. Yes, it was tricky business. Once again, I learned a lot. And the sound deadening did work a lot. Perfect. So, hey, thanks to all our live users who take the time out of their life to hang out with us. Like Novelty. That's a novel name. And Brian and E-Powered and Nikolai and everybody else. We sure appreciate y'all. Jason Cole, thanks for going with me to Toledo.
Yes, sir. Always a good time.
I don't think I said this out loud to you, but I sat down at a table full of people, and sometimes not. But sometimes when I'm out at a show like this, people will say, well, they kind of expect me to tell stories because I've got a lot of good stories. So I've just told a story, and it's a big table because I had to talk kind of loud. And so I said, please stop me, because tomorrow at about noon, I'm going to wonder if I sat and screamed at a table full of people for 2 hours. Sometimes it feels that way. Like I just screamed at a table for an hour, And then I said, So,
no, it's the entertainment for sure.
Well,
you bring it, man.
Good.
Bring it hard.
All right, y'all. Simmer down now and go out and fly. And Chris Henson and I were talking, and he says, take a kid to the field. You got to move the hobby forward. And I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to go do, but I appreciate y'all. Thanks, Jason.
All right, y'all. Peace out.